afternoon, everybody. Heidi Foy with BullFrog Creatives. Man, so I know that we only took 2 weeks off, but it sure feels like it was longer. I am so grateful to be back and grateful to have you guys back with us. We are going to kick back into doing a few more college rodeo program previews or profiles. The interesting part about this is while I think some colleges are probably doing the on-campus tours, some colleges are not. And so we find ourselves in a similar place that we were last March. So the good news is we have a little bit of a head start, I would say. Signing day is in March, and so now would be the time that potential student athletes would be maybe visiting some campuses and kind of making those decisions. So we're going to make it easier on you this year, we hope, and see if we can provide. I apologize, I'm kind of distracted here, trying to pull it up on Facebook and do this at the same time. So we're going to provide a little bit of information for you on some colleges. And I would encourage you guys, if you're new to the platform, look back at some of the old videos. I probably will not have those coaches back on to talk about their programs, and we'll just keep adding more colleges to the live, to our little, I guess, our library of videos. So look back. If you can't find the college that you're looking for, then certainly send me a message, and we would love to have those on. So again, my name is Heidi Foy with BullFrog Creatives. And this week, I'm super excited. We have Al Wagner, who is the rodeo coach at Texas A&M. I met Al, of course, not when I was a student athlete, but when I was volunteering for the local committee, and then also, again, doing the production manager position. So, Al, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it's my pleasure, and thank you for having us and including us in this quest.
Absolutely. So let's start. I have virtually traveled all over the country now and learned about all sorts of different rodeo programs. So let's start with kind of a simple question. Where are you guys located? And tell me a little bit about your community.
Okay, my pleasure. We're in College Station, Texas. There's an adjoining city. You can't tell where one starts, the other one ends, called Bryan, Texas. We're about 90 miles west of Houston. So to give you a little idea of location, we're fairly centrally located as far as the southern region. That's the region we're in. The community is pretty large as far as the population, and then the students. It's a big university. It can be a little overwhelming to folks, but the rodeo kids seem to hang together and kind of form their own little group and enjoy each other. And from that standpoint, up until this year, of course, and then
right.
There's not as much normally. I have about 40 kids that bought their NIRA cards, so we got a fairly good sized program. We normally would get together every month and have speakers from veterinarians to nutrition, horse nutrition people, just different topics. We usually don't meet just to be meeting. We want to have a function and have a region. But this year it hasn't been that way. We had our initial meeting to get all our membership stuff out, and then we're going to have one next week to follow up on the sponsorships for our college rodeo that we do in March, which, by the way, was the last college rodeo because we're March 11th and 12th last year. Yes.
Woo! So if you make it past that, then we're doing good.
Under the wire, because we have ours at the Brazos County Expo, which is an absolutely super facility, and we got it in, finished Saturday night, and the very next week they canceled the Brazos Valley Livestock Show.
Oh, man.
Big event. So we felt very fortunate. We're planning on it again this year. We're not going to be allowed to have spectators. But we will be, the family and friends will be able to come in. So we will not be promoting as far as selling tickets and doing all that kind of stuff, which we normally do. But even last year, even though we got it in, we had basically very little attendance because people were worried when this thing was first coming
Yeah,
out.
when it first
We didn't
started.
know anything about it. So, but anyway, we rely on our sponsors, as you well know,
Yep.
to make these things go. We don't rely on the gate admissions too much, and so we'll be just fine doing it.
So, Dr.
Um,
Wagner, talk to me a
we,
little bit.
like I say, we have. Go ahead.
Oh, we're kind of cutting in and out here, so we'll have to bear with us a little bit. Talk to me a little bit about Texas A&M is, as you mentioned, a very large college, but talk to me about some of the majors that you see on your rodeo team.
Okay, we're basically under the animal science department. That's a very new thing to us. We were under student activities, and we're now under the animal science department. Very excited about that, which is in the Coastal College of Agriculture, which is one of the biggest colleges, probably two of the biggest colleges. The College of Engineering, have an outstanding engineering school, and then the College of Agriculture, and then the business school. The Mays Business School is absolutely huge and world renowned, and so we'll have majors in all of those. Sometimes, we'll have some in some of the educational teaching areas and what have you. But we really pride ourselves on our ag programs, whether it's in the ag business or whether it's in the horticulture department. We have a food science program. In fact, that's the area that I'm in, and we have some of the other things. Ag communications is another big one there. People that do things kind of like you do, Heidi.
Yeah.
And I have had quite a few that's what Jimmy Smith was in, Whitney Thurman, several others that all made the college finals, and of course, and others. And so that's a very popular degree. And
Yeah, that's a
very,
new,
very
I would say
absolutely.
that's probably a newer one. While communications isn't newer, but having that specific, I guess, industry specific I think it's definitely needed, especially for the ag industry.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We do have we don't have any full ride scholarships from Texas A&M itself, but we have a number of endowments that that we have. So we do have scholarship help for those that need it and who doesn't need it in this day and age. One thing I want to point out, you mentioned about signing date in March, and you better here it's not like a lot of places. Freshmen have to have their application in by December 1st.
Oh, goodness.
Oh yeah, and so it's not like and if it's a transfer person that would be wanting to come in the fall, they still would have a chance. Because March 1st is when transfer students, somebody transferring from a 2-year school to here.
Okay, so that's really good to know. That's really good to know. So although as a freshman or first-time student, you may have missed that application deadline, if you're a transfer student, make sure you guys heard this correctly. If you're a transfer student, you still have time to apply to get into Texas A&M. So that's really good to know. Dr. Al, let's keep going. Talk about a little bit about the incoming freshmen. Like, let's say that I've already got my application in, I did not miss that deadline. What can I expect coming in for housing, and do I have to live on campus? If I don't have to live on campus, what are the off-campus housing? What does that look like? And then maybe talk a little bit about meal plans. Is there a meal plan that I could get in on?
Okay, the first part, you do not have to live on campus.
Okay.
You can live anywhere. Meal plans, a lot of the on-campus places usually include a meal plan. The dorms, there's some really nice, they call them dorms, but they're more like apartments that are actually on campus that do have meal plans with them. Those are very popular, especially for freshmen. They don't have to, but it's not a bad way to get acquainted with folks and meet people and so forth.
I'd like to sign up for a meal plan right now.
Well, and then there's a lots of housing, off-campus housing from really, really nice places. Some places where you can keep your horse. They have arenas, covered arenas, and there's range from that to just places that stable the horses, and then you live in a separate place. And there's a number of those that we use that are friends of ours that are as far as sponsors and so forth
Mhm.
that we recommend, and then there's others that are just apartments, or that a lot of the kids stay at. So there's housing is, there's no shortage of it. If you went through this town, you just see it. If
Mhm.
if I wait 2 or 3 weeks to go down in a certain area, when next time I go through there, there's a new complex going up, and it's everything from duplexes to regular apartments to townhouses, all those kind of things. So
Perfect. Perfect.
lots of opportunity there.
Good deal. So let's talk a little bit about more specific to the rodeo program. Um, Talk to me about where you guys practice, and then also that kind of leads right into the practice schedule, a normal practice schedule, and then kind of maybe what it looks like this year, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, well, we're different as far as that. We're not fortunate in that aspect that we have our own practice facilities. Most of the kids practice where they keep their horses, the calves and steers and so forth. We have some places, some local people that have some arenas that have practice. One has practice bulldogging, practice goat tying, breakaway roping. Uh, we so everybody pretty much practices on their own. We don't have set practices,
Okay.
and now we're this is something that's being worked on at this point, and this is it's not a paid position at Texas A&M, and but it's going to be. We have some alumni working very hard on it because we know they're not going to find another dodo head that'll do it for 25 years for nothing. But I've enjoyed it. I'm not. It's been tremendous, and but it's time for me to turn it over, and so we are, and so once that happens, I think we'll have our own. We have an arena, covered arena that we use part time. That we hope to get more. We'd have more control of and use of at a later time. But right now, everybody just goes on their own and practices on their own, and so the COVID hasn't affected that much because it pretty much was doing it privately anyway, and so that being said, we did get to have 4 rodeos in the fall. We planned to have 6 in the spring. One of them that was canceled was not due to COVID, but it was due to the hurricane at McNeese in Lake Charles. And so we're going to have 6, and hopefully all goes well, and we will be practicing the COVID restrictions at every one of them, and doing what we can to help cooperate and get this thing out of here. That's what we want,
Yes.
like everybody does.
So we already talked about the practice, and you did mention briefly kind of boarding horses. So I'm going to go ahead. That normally is our next question. Do you have a place for kids to board horses? But there are places in the community. Do you know about a range that it costs kids to board horses there?
I'm not really. I know it's probably starts out at about 150 a month. Most of the that's on the low end,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the places do offer morning feeding, so that then you can go out in the evening and ride and practice and do whatever, and then feed. And then they're upwards up to 300 a month, and then that's just for the stalls.
Okay.
Not doesn't include any housing for
Okay.
yourself, for themselves.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, I think it's cool. So correct me if I'm wrong. Did I hear you say that there are places that you can board your horses and live?
Yes, yes.
That's super
There's
helpful.
several places that are very, yeah, they're very nice. They're going to be higher, more
Hmm.
expensive, obviously, and but there's two major ones that are here that where you can do that.
That's cool. That's something that we've talked about trying to do here at our place. We just board a few horses, but I always thought that would be handy if you could live right there where your horses were. So that's cool. That's nice to have that option. So, Dr. Al, talk to me a little bit. You mentioned that you have been a college coach for 25 years. Um, I I am real guilty of doing this. I have face stalked your page, and the amount of photos and that you have on your page from the CNFR is so impressive. Talk to me a little bit about the history of college rodeo at Texas A&M.
Well, that is a good question because the college rodeo was founded right here in Brazos County, the county I'm in. And the first president of the NIRA was Mr. Charlie Rankin, who I know you heard of when your
Yep.
earlier times with doing the production. And he was a Texas A&M student. He was first student president. So we go back over 100 years. We do an alumni rodeo in the fall, and this past year was the 101st annual All
Wow.
Aggie Rodeo, and so we had the 100. We had a nice attendance and celebration for the 100th one, and it was a really neat thing to do. Anyway, so from then, sometimes traditions are not always good, but the position has never been to be a paid position here, and there's always had volunteers. But most of the ones before, and they did their part, but they didn't go to the rodeos themselves, and they didn't
Hmm.
attend the events, and just didn't have the. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and have been, and for it was a little over 25 now, but. Anyway, it's been a fun ride. Um, the Like I said, it went back over 100 years. We of course joined the NRA in 1949 when it was founded, and been having it ever since. It's We've had a team. There was probably I don't know, maybe 10, 8 or 10 people that were rodeoing. We had very little scholarship, almost zero, and so now we have 40, and we have over $2 million in endowments, and so it's grown considerably, and we're just looking forward to getting that coach in here that will carry it forward from here on out.
Well, this coach has got big shoes to fill. What is your plan? What is the start date for this new coach and thus your retirement?
Well, of course it depends on the funds being
Okay.
raised. We're trying to do an endowment. We're working with the Development Foundation. I'm finishing out this year for sure as faculty director for the region. Been doing that for a long time too, but that's fun. And then I'm committed to another full year after this one. So that's kind of the goal. But uh, if and when we don't have somebody signed up, hired, well, then I'll hang there until we do. But I just don't want them to drag their heels on it. I'm, very happy doing it, and but it's just I know it's time to turn it over, and I think I'm ready for it too.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say you certainly have left a legacy, and you're lucky enough to step into a legacy, and you will leave your own legacy too. I think Texas A&M Rodeo clearly, even as you mentioned, was part of the original inception of college rodeo, and so
Sure.
it's really cool to see that still going on. I don't know that that's very common in many sports or industries even.
No, I don't think it is, and so we are really proud of the history, and just want to continue it on with a with a strong person that comes in here, and we'll go through a regular hiring process. Obviously, we'll have the applications out there, and I've had a number of people already inquiring about it and so forth. So I don't think we'll have any shortage of candidates.
Yeah,
That's
probably not. Probably
yeah.
not. So, Dr. Al, thank you so much for joining us today. If I have anybody reach out to me that needs some information, I will certainly send them your way. I want
That would be
to,
perfect.
yes, thank you. I want to, for everybody that is joining us live today, thank you so much for tuning back into our page. Man, it's only been 2 weeks, but it certainly feels like it's been a lot longer since I've been able to get on here and chat with you guys. So thank you so much for joining us. If y'all have any questions about Texas A&M program or any questions about any other programs, college rodeo programs, please let us know. Let me know, and I'll try my best to get them on the platform. Again, want to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans for still sponsoring me or supporting me in bringing content to you guys. We are looking to add some more content. I think, excuse me, Jim Boy Hash and I were able to get together and do some pretty fun stuff during the NFR. And I'm looking at doing that a little bit more consistently, talking about what's going on in the rodeo world and what's going on behind the scenes in the rodeo world. But also making sure that we're talking about what's going on with these student athletes and rodeo contestants outside of the arena. So stay tuned for some more stuff like that. And I will say, we did email, Jim Boy Hash did email the Cowboy Channel. We did get an email back, which is super exciting. If you liked what we did with NFR Hangover and you think that it should be some kind of programming on the Cowboy Channel, please do send your emails and send them many and often and every day, or I mean, let's not go crazy, but if you liked what we did, definitely let the Cowboy Channel know about it. And we're hoping to bring some more content to you. Speaking of Jim Boy Hash, he's going to be back next week. So even if he doesn't talk about his rodeo program, he's going to be really fun to talk to, as usual, really fun to talk to anyways. So tune in next week. We're going to learn about Garden City Community College, and we'll have Jim Boy back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live, and we'll see you next week.